Hi, everyone. Welcome to Naturally Immune for Life. Thank you for your time, and I'm glad you're here today. We're going to talk about another missing factor in those who are breastfed, and this is about Secretory IgA for gut health, how breast milk transfers Secretory IgA. And Secretory IgA is specifically designed to protect mucosal surfaces, including the gastrointestinal and respiratory tracts, where infants first encounter bacteria, viruses, toxins, and food antigens. Selective IgA deficiency is the most common primary immune deficiency. It is characterized by a very low or undetectable levels of immunoglobulin A in the blood and mucosal secretions. Although many individuals with selective IgA D have no symptoms, others experience recurrent infections, susceptibility to sinus infections, bronchitis, pneumonia, and ear infections, or autoimmune diseases, a higher prevalence of autoimmune disorders, most notably celiac, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus, and allergies and asthma, increased rates of allergic rhinitis, eczema, and food allergies. These observations highlight the critical role that IgA plays in maintaining healthy mucosal immunity throughout the body, making SIgA transfer crucial. In mammals, mothers provide passive immune protection by delivering secretory immunoglobulin A through colostrum and breast milk. Unlike antibodies that circulate in the bloodstream, SIgA is specifically designed to protect mucosal surfaces, including the gastrointestinal and respiratory tracts, where infants first encounter bacteria, viruses, toxins, and food antigens. Did I say that twice? Yes, I did. Sorry. The production and transfer of SIgA is a highly coordinated biological process. As the mother's immune system encounters microorganisms in her environment, specialized immune cells within the intestinal and other mucosal tissues become activated. These cells migrate to the mammary glands, where they produce dimeric IgA, a form consisting of two IgA molecules joined together. The dimeric IgA then binds to the polymeric immunoglobulin receptor located on mammary epithelial cells. The receptor transports the antibody across the cell and into breast milk through a process known as transcytosis. During this journey, part of the receptor remains attached to the antibody, forming the secretory component. This additional protein transforms IgA into secretory IgA, protecting it from degradation by stomach acid and digestive enzymes after it is consumed by the infant. As a result, SIgA survives passage through the digestive tract and reaches the intestine largely intact, where it can perform its protective functions. Rather than killing microorganisms directly, SIgA works by coating bacteria, viruses, and toxins, preventing them from attaching to the intestinal lining. This process, known as immune exclusion, allows potentially harmful microbes to be removed naturally while minimizing unnecessary inflammation. At the same time, SIgA helps guide the development of a healthy gut microbiome by promoting beneficial bacteria and limiting the overgrowth of potentially harmful species. Through these combined actions, maternal SIgA provides newborns with a sophisticated form of immune protection, while their own immune system gradually matures. One of the most promising discoveries in recent years is the recognition that the gut microbiome itself plays an important role in regulating SIgA production. Rather than acting independently, beneficial bacteria continuously communicate with immune cells located within the intestinal wall. Their metabolic byproducts, particularly short-chain fatty acids such as acetate, stimulate immune signaling pathways that encourage B cells to mature into plasma cells capable of producing IgA. This creates a positive feedback loop in which beneficial microbes help strengthen the very immune barrier that supports their survival. Among these beneficial organisms, Bifidobacterium longum, subspecies infantis, has received considerable attention because of its close relationship with human milk oligosaccharides. During infancy, HMOs selectively nourish B. infantis, and if you remember, that's the primary missing microbe in US and other Western countries, practically non-existent. And I do have a source in here for you to see that. It's actually been missing now for close to a century, allowing it to dominate the intestinal microbiome while supporting healthy immune development. Researchers now believe that many of these same biological pathways remain active in adults, even though the mature microbiome is more stable and resistant to change. So the second missing microbe was, of course, L. reuteri, which was demonstrated last week. So Bifido species, in particular, the primary colonizers of the infant gut are missing, and L. reuteri is missing, and now this important secretory IgA is also missing. Clinical studies have demonstrated that several commercial strains of B. infantis can increase or help maintain intestinal SIgA through different mechanisms. Some strains directly increase fecal SIgA concentrations, while others reduce intestinal inflammation, promote regulatory T cells, improve epithelial barrier integrity, or increase production of short-chain fatty acids that indirectly stimulate IgA secretion. Although the strength of evidence varies among strains, the overall findings consistently point toward improved mucosal immune function rather than simply altering bacterial composition. And one of these is bovine colostrum as a symbiotic. Studies have shown that IgG in bovine colostrum functions as a natural symbiotic by providing both bioactive compounds that support the host and nutrients that favor the establishment of beneficial microbes. In two separate laboratory studies, bovine colostrum significantly modified the intestinal epithelial surface, increasing the adhesion of beneficial Bifidobacterium strains by up to 52-fold in one study and 49-fold in another, without enhancing the attachment of intestinal pathogens. The researchers found that colostrum components, particularly IgG, altered the intestinal cell surface to create more favorable binding sites for commensal bacteria. When combined with evidence that several commercial B. infantis strains can increase or maintain intestinal secretory IgA, reduce intestinal inflammation, and strengthen the mucosal barrier, these findings suggest that bovine colostrum and targeted probiotics may work synergistically to promote beneficial colonization, support mucosal immunity, and improve long-term gut health. Bovine colostrum contains immunoglobulin A, IgA, including its highly active mucosal form, Secretory IgA. In human breast milk and human colostrum, IgA is the primary, most abundant antibody. However, in bovine colostrum, the distribution is reversed. IgG is the dominant antibody, making up to 85 to 95% of the total immunoglobulins. Immunoglobulin M, IgM, is the second most common. Immunoglobulin A, IgA, accounts for a smaller fraction, typically ranging from 3.2 to 6.2 grams per liter in raw colostrum. Even though IgA is a minor component in bovine colostrum, clinical research shows that consuming it has a powerful effect on human mucosal immunity. How does this happen? Through direct mucosal defense. The IgA and SIgA found in colostrum act as a first line of defense. They physically bind to, encase, and neutralize pathogens along the digestive tract lining before they can breach the gut barrier. It boosts your own IgA production. Interestingly, studies published on PubMed show that taking bovine colostrum doesn't just supply external antibodies, it triggers your body to produce more of its own. For example, distance runners and athletes who supplement with bovine colostrum routinely show up to a 79% increase in their own salivary SIgA levels, protecting them from upper respiratory infections during heavy training. This includes commercial bovine colostrum supplements such as powders and capsules. Commercial bovine colostrum powders retain their native antibody profile. Reputable companies focus heavily on marketing immunoglobulin G, IgG, which naturally makes up the largest percentage. They often standardize labels to show minimum IgG levels, usually between 20 to 40% IgG, even if it is not explicitly listed on the nutrition packs. IgA and IgM are still naturally present in the powder alongside the IgG. Immunoglobulins are delicate proteins. To turn liquid colostrum into shelf-stable supplement powder, manufacturers must pasteurize and dry it. High-quality supplements use low-temperature, flash pasteurization, and indirect heat drying to keep the IgA and IgG fully intact and bioactive. Low-quality supplements that use excessive heat during the drying process can denature or destroy these fragile antibodies, rendering the IgA useless. The most notable finding from supplement trials is that taking colostrum powder orally doesn't just passively hand you bovine IgA. Clinical trials using commercial colostrum powders, such as those published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, demonstrated that athletes taking everyday colostrum supplements experience a significant boost in their own human salivary IgA production, which strongly protected them against getting sick. And then I'm including for you clinical and preclinical data on 7 commercial strains of probiotics. And then I'm also providing all the sources, and this is from 2023, Secretory IgA's complex roles in immunity and mucosal homeostasis in the gut, Selective IgA Deficiency, 2018, elevated fecal pH indicates a profound change in the breastfed infant's gut microbiome due to reduction of bifidobacterium over the past century. B. infantis benefits for toddler gut immunity, a 12-week clinical study. Bovine colostrum-driven modulation of intestinal epithelial cells for increased commensal colonization. Immunoglobulin G from bovine milk primes intestinal epithelial cells for increased colonization of bifidobacteria. From 2002, IGF-1, IgA, and IgG responses in bovine colostrum supplementation during training. And these are pretty old studies, mostly all of the earliest bovine colostrum supplement studies were in athletes. So I'm giving you all of that, and I'm not going to specifically say anything apart from what was already shown to be in the included sources. And I'm not going to recommend any products. Your results may differ, but all of the sources are here provided for you. And I have known about IgA as the most common immune deficiency for a long time. But now today in this 12-week study for toddlers, it just happened to mention it, and I had been planning on covering it because this was the first time I had ever seen in a paper that it was directly tied to celiac and rheumatoid arthritis. So, and lupus. So that's the third missing component from the non-breastfed infant that directly has implications throughout their life. So, okay, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll visit the post and find it useful. And I'm sorry if you went to the site the other day and all my posts were missing. I honestly don't know what happened, but you can imagine what kind of a day I had after I noticed it. But everything is restored now, and if you were getting a 404 error message when you tried to visit the link from the last video, everything is now fixed and back to normal. So thank you again so much for your time, and you all have a great day and a great week. I'll see you next time. Bye.